Let me be frank about something, okay? I'm going to explain to you why Christian entertainment sucks at the current state that it is. This is exactly why. It happened to me today. I have this bit idea that I'm doing where for my high school reunion, I want to fly and arrive in a helicopter. And then I'm going to land, and the whole thing's going to be on video, and it's going to be a funny prank to everybody I went to high school with. Okay, that's the plan. It's a funny video. In order to do that, it would actually be one of the biggest productions that I've done, so I need to do a GoFundMe page, right? So I put up a GoFundMe page, and I figured, worst case scenario, let's say I don't get the funding. Then I'm going to take whatever I get from the funding, and I'm going to do as much as I possibly can with this video, okay? But if I do get this funding, then it's going to be one of the most epic arrivals to a high school reunion ever caught on film, and it is going to be a hilarious video. It's a project. Now, here's the problem. I had several Christians, and I emphasize that for a reason, not non-Christians. Anybody that follows me that are not Christians, they loved the thing, right? They were like, oh, this is great, hilarious, whatever. Several Christians messaged me or commented under that said, why would you spend $5,000 on a project, right? Well, helicopter rentals are really expensive. That's the whole reason why. And I have never once asked for money on a project. But let me explain what the next thing that they say in this comment and message. Every single one of them said, one, why are you spending that much money to do a joke? Two, you should be spending that money on charity. Okay, here's the real heart issue with Christian entertainment. We don't spend any money. We spend jack on entertainment that could transform the world, because entertainers are the number one most influential people in the world. And we're sitting here going, hey, if you want to be a Christian and an entertainer, I don't know how I feel about that yet, but as long as you don't spend money, I don't have a problem. But that's not the real thing that everybody has an issue with. The issue is they say charity, right? So here's the biggest myth. People are saying, well, wait a second. Why would you spend all this money on a project when you should be spending it on charity? No, that's not really the issue. See, the real issue is that Christians don't spend money on charity. We don't spend money at all on tithing. In fact, out of every congregation, they figured out that less than 10% of a congregation tithes. Okay, less than 10%. So the real issue isn't, hey, you should be spending this money on tithing. No, the real issue is American churches don't help out charities at all. We don't tithe. We don't help out the hungry or the homeless or the orphans. But if we did open up our hands and spend money on anyone other than myself, I think it should be that. So I'm mad at you that you would dare try to use it for entertainment purposes or a joke or a video or a production. How dare you, right? So it's really a heart issue. The issue is you're not spending it on anything but yourself. So you're selfish. And if you were to spend it on anybody else, the crazy thing is, that's when you would say, well, if we're gonna spend it, we should spend it on charity, because you're understanding the same heartbreak that I am, right? Which is, hey, wait a second. All of these people are hurt here in the country. Why isn't the church doing anything about it? Well, we used to. We used to do everything. We used to do, we were in charge of hospitals until we let the businesses buy us out. We also were in charge of Hollywood. Christian, Hollywood land was Christian, and we didn't want film to come to our town. Then we had a drought, and we said, all right, fine, Hollywood, go ahead and do your thing, because now we have a drought. We can't do anything about it. So California took over. Then they filmed everything, right? Hollywood was even dictated by priests. Pastors and priests would read scripts and then bless it if they liked it. And out of nowhere, the priests and pastors just decided to pull away from it and say, you know what? The church doesn't have to do anything with movies or industry. It's not like it's going to change the entire world. And yet, we had a Michael Jackson documentary that just changed the entire world against Michael Jackson. Obviously, rightfully so. You see all the proof in there. But what I'm saying is, we have one, a 4-part documentary series that made everybody go, Michael Jackson was a monster. Do you think a sermon would have done that? No. Geez, a documentary, entertainment did that, guys. It's a documentary. And yet we sit here and we go, hey, man, Christian entertainment sucks. And at the same time, we shouldn't fund it. Because if we were to actually open up our hearts for once in our entire lives, guess what? We would spend it on something that God has already told us to do. Instead, what we should be doing is doing what God told us to do and funding projects. See, the problem I have, I've been doing stand-up for 10 years. I would have been a lot more successful if I did not go about it a Christian way. You understand that? Like, if I decided, hey, I'm just going to be a filthy comedian, and I'm going to go work at Comedy Central, and I'm going to write for shows that want nothing to do with God, I would have already made it. But I have such a devotion to Jesus Christ because he absolutely is my Lord and Savior. And I have nothing against working with secular groups or comics or writers. I'll do that all day, every day. But at the same time, I'm here saying, hey, wait a second. I have all this history that I've read about Christian entertainment, and we failed. Completely failed. So instead of me just abandoning the Christian industry, which is such a joke that we even have a Christian industry, guys, such a joke. Instead of me abandoning the Christian industry, I said, hey, why don't I try to bring you along with me? And so now, here I am trying to do a project that would get a lot of attention and a lot of people that would follow me and go, man, this guy's ridiculous, he's funny, I cannot believe he went to his high school reunion in a helicopter and a tux. And then they start looking at all my videos, like this video, and how it says that I'm Christian. Everybody's an idiot. Literally, why are we so stupid, you guys, as Christians, as American Christians that have the ability to change the world with a freaking iPhone, and we won't lift a finger because we're too busy being self-righteous about everything else in the world that's unjust, and yet we're not even doing anything about those unjust things. Like, literally, somebody on my Instagram was like, hey, instead of giving into this stupid mindless project from this adult baby, like, it was a bunch of insults, right? And it was like, instead of doing that, why don't you go ahead and just take care of this other organization? He didn't put it on his bio. He's never made a post about that organization. The only time I've ever, like, I literally looked because I wanted to be like, oh, does this guy fund that organization? Nope. No, he doesn't. Not to my knowledge. He might have like he might send like $20 a month or whatever to that organization personally, but he's never pushed people to pay for that. The only time he does is when he sees a Christian trying to fund a project that would reach out to hundreds of thousands of people. This is crazy. I have had Christian organizations reach out to me. I won't say their names, but they've been big. And they reach out to me because they see all the projects I do, and they say, wow, this is great. We want you to write for us. We want you to be in our projects. We want you to do a show. And I say, great, that's awesome. And then I say, okay, I need to take care of my family, so let's talk money. And then they go, man, you know what? I can't really afford anything. We thought you would just want to do it. I'm sorry, how am I supposed to spend 40 to 50 hours on your projects when you're not going to pay me anything? And at the same time, guess what? I actually try to take care of the body of Christ. I do ministry every single day, and I do comedy. So if you're not going to pay me to help your project, to help you, then what do you think I'm going to do? And then I've had other people lowball me and be like, oh, how about $100 for you to work for me? $100 a month? How does that work? You know what, man? I would love to partner with you. But if you are going to keep your hands like this instead of open, like exactly how we see in the Bible of people that are just givers, like, come on. Like, first off, if you don't tithe, then don't even start talking to me about spending my money on other people. I tithe over 10% every single month, and there are moments where I'm nervous because I'm like, man, nobody's funding some of my projects this week. Nobody's I do shows for free sometimes because I believe in the purpose of comedy and joy and entertainment that isn't non-Christian, isn't anti-Christian. And yet everybody, hey, we just feel more comfortable watching Netflix. We feel much more comfortable watching Netflix. Or dare I say even worse, Pureflix. Man, you know the problem? The problem is that we're feeding into things like Pureflix. Because I have talked to so many people, and they have all said, man, I hate PureFlix. PureFlix is a joke. It's stupid. You know what sucks is, one, they don't know that. Nobody really tells them that. They just make fun of them when they're not around. But if Christians actually came together and said, hey man, you should really change this. Like, you should absolutely change this. Then they would go, really? Wow. 10 million people are telling me to change this? Sorry, 9 million, I believe is the amount of Christians in America. And yet, we're not funding one good freaking project? We're not funding a project? Instead, we're spending millions of dollars in books. Are you kidding me? You guys, we should all be on social media. As Christians, every single one of us should be on social media. I hope that makes sense to you right now. Because we've lost it when Hollywood became a movie industry. We abandoned it. We kicked out anybody that went to church, that was a church congregation member that decided to go to a movie. We kicked them out. People that were Christians ended up driving to a completely different town just to go watch Wizard of Oz because their church disagreed with it. And now every Christian has Wizard of Oz in their house on DVD or Blu-ray. Why? Because we're behind the times. You guys, we're so behind the times, and it makes me so passionate and angry that we would ever think that we're doing good. The problem is we're so behind. We're behind on ministry because we're not allowing certain ministries to happen because we're not allowed to say certain words like porn or abortion. Oh, God forbid any Christian is against abortion or really going to talk openly about having a porn addiction. No, if any of those say anything, they can't work at a church. At a church. Whereas Jesus was 100% a table flipper. Jesus was a table flipper. Okay? He went in to the market in the temple, right? He went in and he flipped a table because he saw that Christians were taking advantage of, that the rabbis and Jewish leaders were taking advantage of the people who were trying to come to Jesus. And instead, they were saying, hey, wait, give me your lamb. You want to sacrifice this? You know what? It's too dirty. You got to pay me full price for another one. And don't worry about your lamb. I'm going to take it later. And then they sell that lamb later. And Jesus saw all of this corruption that was happening because human beings without Christ are corrupted. We are easily corruptible. And so what's crazy is Jesus literally flipped the tables and he kicked out all the animals so that these people couldn't sell anymore. And the problem that we have in America at the moment, the problem that we have is we are doing that to Christians. We are saying, hey, you know what? If you come to Jesus, you gotta take care of this church building. We need this church building to be bigger. And then, what are we gonna do on ministries? Well, we're gonna minister to make people come into this church building so that the church building can get even bigger. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with funding a church building. There's nothing wrong with that. My problem is why are we not funding the most important industry of our time? It's entertainment. Universal Studios, Disney, DreamWorks, we line up to watch their movies. And when they say something that we don't like that goes against Christian values, we either get upset and walk out, which doesn't happen often, or we just take it. And we go, oh man, that sucks. All right, I probably won't go see it if they make a sequel. But I probably will, right? So it's like the real problem is, you guys, that we are just letting the world dictate us instead of us dictating to the world what is good, what is holy, what is morally right. And now we're sitting back and going, the world is such a mess. Why? Because anti-Christians and atheists are the ones in charge of the camera with all the funding. Because 9 million Christians won't fund one project, not one good project that would literally be a documentary that would show, just like Michael Jackson was a monster, what if we have a good movie that shows that the world and their sin is a monster? Of course it is. And this is how we can practice, or heck, how many people don't want to go see or don't actually pay for PureFlix because they want to go watch a good drama, right? We as Christians can write good drama. The Bible has better drama that I've ever read than any other book. How about comedy? There is comedy. God literally created humor. He created humor. And we're over here being like, well, I don't know. Like, I don't think any Christians could ever make good stuff. We can make stuff way better than secular people, but nobody's giving us the funding. If you've been listening all the way through, this is my challenge. Stop what you're doing and fund entertainment. Not a Christian movie. Fund great projects that are done by Christian artists that care about Jesus, but also care about their product that they're putting out. That is the only way that we can take back the marketplace. Because we have this weird thing that we think, well, if it's a Christian movie, or if it's a movie done by a Christian, then it needs to have a thing where all the villains come to Jesus. That's not real life. That is not real life. For us to make a movie like that, it's been done a million times, and it doesn't make sense. If you love entertainment, fund the Christians that you know and trust. Fund the ones that you go, man, that's a funny video. And they said something, I saw in their bio that they're Christian. Or, I started talking to them and they mentioned that they're Christian. Fund them immediately. Man, come on. A plumber that's Christian may not be directly serving Jesus as a plumber. But guess what? He is directly serving Jesus as a plumber. Because the Word of God says, in whatever you do, do it to the glory of God. Why have we become so angry at any Christian that wants to do entertainment good, well? Any entertainer that wants to do entertainment well and go, you didn't say Jesus 10 times in a sentence. Are you kidding me? We are so backwards with our theology on what we're supposed to do. We are so backwards with our philosophy on what we're supposed to do with our money. And that's the real heart of this issue, is that we do not know what to do with our money. Because one, all we do as Christians in America, we spend all the money on us. That's 100% true. You spend the money on you. Because less than 10% of you, once again, will tithe in a congregation. Less than 10% of a congregation tithe. The rest of you, what do? You say, you know what, it's too tight right now. Or, hey, I'm tired of somebody telling me to tithe. I'll do what I want with my money. Guess what? It's God's money. And you're not using it for God. God gave you the job you have. He gave you the money that is in your wallet or in your bank. And you're not using it for anyone but your own family and your own self. And then you're praying earnestly and saying, God, would you just open your eyes? Let this be a wake-up call. Okay, let God open your eyes and say, maybe you need to invest in a project. And listen, me and my wife and my producer, Marcus Pittman, we have been praying for some Christian to come in and invest in us. Praying. And the biggest flack I get is, oh, well, if I were to spend that money, I'd be spending it on, somebody in need. Are you kidding me? We could be reaching millions of people with a movie or a show, and those millions of people could tithe, okay? And we could start seeing money come in, and I am actually going to spend it on the things of God. I'm actually going to spend it on what God has called me to do, because I've been tithing, and I've been spending, like my wife literally called me this morning and said, hey, I know we've been tithing over and above. Would we be able to donate to another cause? And I said, absolutely. And guess what? I have $8 in my bank account. I'm not saying that to show you, oh, I don't have anything. No. I'm saying that to show you that every dollar that God gives me is God's. And I'm not perfect, right? None of us are perfect. I'm sure that there's moments that I should have given it to somebody, given a couple dollars to somebody, and instead I spent it on chicken nuggets or something. But my problem is, we need somebody to fund us so that we can go and do the projects to the glory of God with the funding from other Christians that say, hey, you know what? Glory to God. But we're too busy keeping our fists tight. We're doing things that Christians have not done ever. We're literally taking late night and saying, let's break this door wide open. But we need an investor. We need an investor. And so many people are just talking to me. Not so many. I don't want to exaggerate, okay? But I've had enough people come up to me and say, "Hey, that's great, but you know, I can't invest. You know, we've got all this other." There's always going to be one more thing. But the problem is we're so selfish that we're not investing into another project. And if you're saying, "Hey, I'm investing in books and magazines," wake up, man. You're late. You're so behind. Let's stop being behind as Christians. As American Christians, let's use God has blessed us with a lot of money. We're richer than most people in the world, and we're still trying to spend it on ourselves, right? It's like that crazy Instagram thing of that pastors, and you see they spend like $22,000 on or $2,000 on shoes, $5,000 on shoes. I saw one pastor $5,000 on shoes, right? And now people are upset. Oh, that's crazy. But you know what? You know what would be even crazier? What if that $5,000 went to a project that my wife and Marcus Pittman and I have been desperately praying for? To say, man, if we can get this in the audience, the right audience that are not Christian, that just want to laugh and educate them, or make them, not even educate them, entertain them and bring them to Christ through entertainment, which, by the way, is the most influential industry in the entire world. The President of the United States is a celebrity, and yet we don't want to spend a dime on entertainment. We would rather complain that nobody else is spending it on people that need help, and we're not even spending it on people that need help ourselves. We're not even tithing. Man. An incredible percentage of Christians are not tithing regularly. A lot of them haven't tithed all year. And yet, they're thinking, hey, if I were to open up my hands for the first time, I wouldn't spend it on something that would change millions of lives. Instead, if I were, I'd send $10 to a kid, which is fantastic. Nothing's wrong with that. But the problem is the heart issue. You're not looking at the heart issue. It's you. It's not me. It's not me who's trying to make a huge difference in this world. It's you who's just trying to get by, live life, and be comfortable. It makes me sick, because I used to be that way. Let's stop being comfortable. Let's start funding projects. Okay, hey, if you guys like this video, subscribe. Do it. If you guys like this video, subscribe. Maybe I'll rant some more. Love you guys. Seriously, I love you. That's why I did this. Talk to you later. Bye.